My name is Mike Russell, Deputy Chief Moose Jaw Fire. I worked with this gentleman for, well, probably over 20 years. And he had a role in our organization where he was in charge of making sure all the maintenance on certain pieces of equipment, apparatus, buildings, all that kind of stuff was being done on a regular basis. And he had a schedule which would be considered part of basically a PM or preventative maintenance program. When he first came into the organization, he was full of energy. He was one of those hardworking go-to guys. And over the course of the time, less and less was being done. And I think he started to build this reputation that he just was very slow. Unbeknownst to him, his nickname became Sloth. And nobody said it to his face around the organization, but you would hear people say, oh, where's Sloth today? Or Sloth didn't get this done. And it's unfortunate. People in the organization would say that because they felt that whether it was his time management, his work ethic, things just weren't getting done on time. Well, I'd probably been working with him for about 18 or 20 years at that point. When I became his supervisor, I became the deputy chief of the organization, I would look at his workload, I would look at what he was doing and how he was getting behind, and it would frustrate me. And I would try and call him on it, and I would ask him questions, and he wouldn't have answers. He would tell me, well, tell me what I'm doing. Am I working too slow? What am I doing? And I would say, I don't know. We have to figure this out. I mean, we explored time management issues. We thought that's what it might be. I looked into that and had to sit down and talk with him about time management. And everything time we went to try and talk to him, or I sat down and tried to talk to him, whether as a supervisor or a coworker, friend, it won't work for me. It'll work for you, it won't work for me. I just can't do it. If I was him, I'd probably think that I was beaten, a little bit dejected. When we first started working together, he was kind of, I would say, the life of the party, the guy everybody wanted to be around. And I think through his own frustrations, without us recognizing it, we saw him not only change in the workforce, but we saw him somewhat disengage himself from outside activities. He wasn't the same individual. You could see that, you know, where this was always the guy that was upbeat, this was always the guy that was planning events, doing things. You could actually see that dissipating. I just did a full analysis of his job and his job description and what he was doing here, here, and here. I broke it down into days of the week. At that point, we brought in a kind of automated system, like a records management, which he had to learn to use. But that data was critical because then I could start to actually extract that data and see where things were being done in a timely fashion and where things were getting backlogged. There was a trend that every Wednesday, he couldn't get his job completed. Monday, no problem. Tuesday, no problem. Wednesday, no way. Thursday's not bad. Friday's not bad. So what was happening is everything that was getting missed on Wednesdays, he couldn't get back to until to try and squeeze into the following week. I sat down with the individual himself and said, you know, I think we need to make some changes. At first, he was a little apprehensive because people don't like change. But when I showed him, I think this is going to benefit him in the future, he bought into it. We made those changes, and subsequently, I was finding on those certain days where nothing was being achievable, now he was coming to me 3/4 of the way through the day and saying, hey, I'm all done. What else can we do? And pretty soon, he was back to being that jovial person. I think he was back to having a sense of pride in the work he was doing. He's interjected back with the crowd kind of thing, where he's not feeling like an outsider, let's say. People aren't looking at him the same as they did before. I felt sorry for this individual because he was labeled. He was labeled for 2 decades and nothing was ever done about it. Nothing was ever said. It was just kind of accepted, but complained about amongst the other people in the background. Nobody brought issues forward, or at least to the individual. Nobody dealt with it on a management level. It was just left to say that's just how he is, you know. And maybe had people have said things or looked into it earlier in his career, we wouldn't have had that problem at all. 100%, I will say it wasn't the individual, it was the system. And we didn't need to change. Everybody kept saying we need to change the individual. We didn't need to change the individual, we needed to change the process. We did see him to the point where he was saying, yeah, I'm ready to retire. As soon as I get my pensionable time, I'm ready to retire. I've spoken with him since, and yeah, he doesn't even want to look at retirement right now. So he's back on track. He's loving the life, loving job again, loving coming to work. And he is probably pensionable now at this point. But the last time I spoke to him, he says, I love my job. Why do I want to retire?